And great to be joined as we have him every month, Jeremy Siegel, Wharton Emeritus Professor of Finance, and also a senior economist at Wisdom Tree. Jeremy, great to talk to you and happy holidays, sir.
You too, Dan.
Great. Let me start out by just getting your general thoughts on the state of the economy as we wrap up 2025. And obviously, this coming at a time where the Fed just made a recent cut to rates.
Yeah, I think there's two bumps we have to get over in the next 2 months. First of all, an expected ruling from the Supreme Court on the tariffs that could churn things up, depending on how it's stated and all the rest. That generates even more uncertainty. I'm not a fan of tariffs. I've never been one. I think it was not legal to begin with. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court making that determination and not giving Trump time, if they don't, and I hope they do give him time to work with Congress to make it legal, will churn the pot. And secondly, another potential government shutdown, January 30th. We don't want that. No one wants that, and yet that is looming. There is still no, the Dems have made healthcare a big issue. And I think they're going to stick to it. And there's seemingly no progress in Congress towards moving towards a compromise on this issue. So those are two near-term bumps, I would say.
The data is starting to roll in as well. We got the jobs data a few days ago. October was a negative. November was a positive. We've just gotten some inflation data as we're taping this right before the Christmas holiday. Give us your thoughts on what that data is telling us right now.
Well, first of all, the inflation data was extremely good. And we're finally getting the lower shelter prices, which are so important, into the index. And that's a major reason why it came in as well as it did. And, we are getting a bump from Trump tariffs, but it's much more minor than we had feared for a number of reasons, including lower rates than we had feared would go. And as a result, I think the inflation outlook looks quite good for 2026. I think we would be between 2 and 2.5%, which is very close to the Fed target. Let me talk about the employment data, and then I'll go into the Fed where it should be. Slow growth, maybe slightly negative if we make a correction. We're getting on the private side positive. We had a big negative on public because of the Musk option of quitting in 9 months, and that was 9 months ago. And now in October we got a big jump there. But the private sector is, I would say, just about producing near zero jobs. So the only increase in GDP is productivity gains at this particular juncture, and I expect it to be maybe 1 to 2% this quarter. But really, we're just getting some data because of the delays to actually look at what this quarter is going to do. But I think there's a lot of tailwinds next year. There's inflation, I think, lower than people fear, which is going to be a positive. I also think that the tax cuts are going to be money in the pockets of a lot of consumers that they may not be counting on now, and also in the hands of corporations that can pay for expansion, profits, and wages. So I think that once we go over these two bumps, I think actually 2026 looks good in terms of the economy.
How do you think that Wall Street and equities and the markets will probably do?
Yeah, I've always said the Fed should be in the 3 to 3.5% range. We're almost there. It should be 100 basis points below the 10-year. The 10-year is 4.10, so that would put Fed funds at 3.10. And so we still got 25 to 50 basis points to go, which I think is the direction there. What about equities? Well, I'm really beginning to see more signs of rotation, real rotation. A lot of head fakes with rotation. What I mean by rotation is away from Mag 7 to the broader economy. The Mag group has had headwinds over the last 2 or 3 months, and their valuations, although not crazy, do not leave room for any disappointment. I expect that a lot of the other firms might be able to take advantage of some of the AI technologies that could increase their margins and their profits. But is that a certainty? I don't know. But overall, I would not be surprised to see gains on the S&P next year at 5 to 10%. Okay, good, but
Yeah.
much more modest than the previous 3 years.
Is it a surprise that the AI stocks have been taking kind of the hit that they have in the last few weeks?
Well, not with the questions that are being asked about them. Over building potential data centers are costing a lot more, and we've hearing signs of delay. There's always a threat of new chips that might really not make those data centers as necessary. We understand what's happening with Oracle. It says it's
Yeah.
going to spend 360 billion. Market does not like that. There's always threats from China on undercutting. And I mean, you take a look at OpenAI and Chat GPT, and all of a sudden we got Gemini who jumps up in the number one place. Well, then there's competition on all the large language models and what kind of premiums can they charge. So there's a lot of things going on. I think it might have surprised people that the only Mag 7 that really has just recently put into high territory is Tesla, and it's really on self-driving. I think self-driving is the first big thing that AI going to accomplish. It means millions of drivers are not going to have jobs, and it's probably, I think self-driving is going to be a reality in 5 years for a majority of trucks and long hauls, as well as taxis.
What are you most watchful then about as we head into the new year?
Well, I mean, again, I'm looking at the Supreme Court and whether the Congress can, in fact, negotiate to avoid another shutdown. Uh, and then, of course, we'll see the progress on AI. I mean, there's always that threat. There's the AI that someone's going to, remember what happened when DeepSeek came out,
Yeah.
5 months ago to NVIDIA stock. I mean, is there going to be another surprise? Oh my God! Because we all remember what happened in the internet when everyone wanted fiber optic cable and they were booming, and then all of a sudden we decided we learned how to put 10 times the amount of information in a single fiber optic cable, and all of a sudden the demand for that collapsed. All those things can happen. They're good for the consumers, obviously, but very bad for the firms that are producing it. So there could be a lot of churn depending on AI developments, which are really uh, these technological developments seem to be occurring faster and faster.
Jeremy, always great to talk with you. I look forward to doing it again throughout the course of 2026. All the best.
Thank you very much, hon.
You got it. Jeremy Siegel, Wharton Emeritus Professor of Finance and Senior Economist at Wisdom Tree.